Alright, we lost.
Okay, I bless. Rastafari, in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First, Jah Rastafari.
Aye, aye, aye,
Aye,
aye.
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 Yeah, today we here talking about the new revolution that is happening in the minds and the hearts of the African diaspora. This new Ethiopia. Ethiopia seems to be the major trending topic. Rastafari seems to be major trending topic right now. The black diaspora. Many are coming to the divine awareness of Ethiopia's role in this this saga that we call the return to Zion. And we know we've got biblical prophecies and scriptures that testify to Ethiopia directly. So we have that verification. We have Ethiopia as a constant guiding force and guiding light in the Word of God in the Bible. And so we're going to kind of delve into that today. Looking forward to it because I noticed a trend of many black leaders, including Dr. Umar Johnson, including Candace Owens, who spoke briefly on Rastafari, including Black to Africa, including the Diasporan Network News media outlet. I forget their full name, but I think anybody that's active in the community know who I'm talking about. The fact of the matter is, this is not anything new. You know, from the early 1920s, Ethiopia has taken a front seat and a leadership role in the affairs of the African diaspora around the planet. And that's because they've led by example. Their victory at the Battle of Adwa was a sign to the entire world that uh, a kingdom where the Negusta Negas reigned supreme would be victorious over evil. And this is the foundation and proof of the foundation of Christianity being ordained to be in Ethiopia. And I think it's amazing that the black community is coming to this awareness now. And I think it's also sad that many who are coming to this awareness are still in denial. They're still in denial of His Majesty. There's many people, there's many prophets, there's many scholars, there's many paleontologists that will tell you bluntly the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. Dr. Umar Johnson is telling our community bluntly Ethiopia is the promised land, and many other black leaders. Go Black to Africa went there, showed you the black Jesus, the black Christ, showed you the most ancient churches, showed you the ancient books and Bibles, did interviews with the people on the ground. Many of our leaders, even Dr. Ben, I'm sure you guys know of the gentleman who so professionally and um, uh, majestically explained to our people about how Christ was born in a cave before the Nicene Council. And of course, he has not only does he have the books and things to back his claim, he himself is also born in the heart of Ethiopia, a Beta Israelite practicing Judaism. You know what I'm saying? He has the PhDs and things, the scholarship. He's also, I think he said he was a professor at a very important, prominent university. What we'll do is, if you want to reach out and find out who we're talking about, we'll put the information in the bottom, um, or you can just go on YouTube and type in "real Israelites" Dr. Ben, and his full name will come up. And so do your research. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of open the floor and get y'all opinion. What do y'all think about the the concept of Ethiopia being Zion? Do you guys also see that there's a lot of people out here now that are coming to that awareness? And I mean, to me, it's a phenomenon. People don't recognize how influential and big and impactful phenomena are until they run their full course. But it's a phenomenon. People in our community that are quote unquote leaders and teachers are all telling the world and bearing witness that Ethiopia is the promised land. That is a fact. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from y'all what y'all think.
Yeah, um, I've definitely seen a lot of talk myself, or like you said, Dr. Umar, and even just various people who um, I've began following on social media coming out and talking about Ethiopia. Um, there's somebody who I know came out, made an Instagram story. Um, I guess they were doing some of their own little personal research, and they kind of came to a realization about just certain things, like, for example, Ethiopia being one of the few countries in the world that has their own calendar, the Gaia's calendar,
Right, right.
as opposed to the Gregorian calendar, which most of the world uses.
Yeah, with
Um,
13 instead of 12. Yeah.
right. And then just various people, looking at the connection between the Bible and Africa, and just looking at how the Bible talked about Ethiopia, and
Yeah,
yeah, so I've just been seeing a lot of talk about it myself.
right,
So it's definitely been interesting to see. It's interesting.
right. Even my mom, she was talking about Ethiopia being the promised land, and she's starting to come to that awareness too. And but
Hmm.
people have their reservations, and I just go take them to Genesis. I show them where God started everything, and we see one place we know without question is that Gihon, which encompasses the land of Ethiopia. And then once we find the Nile, which is the Gihon in Genesis, which is the beginning of the entire scriptures, then we see, okay, well, why would God choose and designate this place on earth to be the foundation for the entire planet and mankind? I'd say that's very significant and something to ask ourselves. And then, we follow Abraham and Canaan. We see Abraham live between the Yam Suf and what we call the Euphrates. And we know that the Yam Suf is the Nile too. So now we know Canaan has to be in the heart of Africa. We see Abraham go to Egypt. So why is he going to Egypt? Why is it if you got a white Christ with blonde hair, blue eyes, why ain't he in Europe? Why ain't all this happening over here in London in England? Right? Y'all supposed to be the promised and chosen ones. Why ain't this all happening? You get what I'm saying? So I think the only true staple we can confirm is Africa for most of the content in the Bible. Abraham's grandmother Azarah was the daughter of Nimrod, making Abraham Afro-Shemitic, making him Hamitic and Shemitic. And if Abraham was Hamitic and Shemitic, the prophecy is not just specifically to Shem, right? Ham has inheritance in that prophecy too, and I think that Europe did a great job disenfranchising Ham from their part in their sacred calling by God Almighty Himself. Are you not like the Ethiopians unto me, O Israel? Right. So we hear God Almighty say that. We see Psalms 87 1-4 talk about uh, the Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than any of the dwellings of Jacob, and the Most High shall establish her Himself. And that child was born there. That man was born there. Notice how it says man. So if it says man, we know we can count on Him incarnating. And there's many scriptures alike that testify to Him incarnating in flesh, that Almighty will choose a righteous vessel and temple to incarnate a tool that He will use, which will make that tool sacred because Almighty live in that tool. So yeah, God bless. Brother Livercall, man, we'd love to hear from you, man. What's your thoughts about this new? Have you seen in your, I know you surf and do your research on your time. Have you seen a growing uh, essentially a certain amount of people in our community who are in leadership positions are coming to realize that Ethiopia is the destined and promised land? Have you been noticing that as well? And how are you feeling about that? Do you feel like they're still kind of in denial of His Majesty, even though they found Ethiopia?
Yes, I see definitely a peak in interest, especially since the Bob Marley movie came out. There's a spin-off now on Haile Selassie.
Right.
I don't know if it's the same creators, but there's definitely a interest in Ethiopia. There's an
Right.
interest
That too.
in Rastafari, as you mentioned. Even the last election, there was a spotlight on Haile Selassie. I mean, not Haile Selassie, but the Rastafari movement within the
Right.
Jamaican context,
Okay.
and how one of the candidates' family was related to the destruction of early Rastafari settlement. So yes,
Right.
there's definitely an interest in Rastafari, interest in Ethiopia. There's an interest in Haile Selassie
Right.
because the same social and economic and political situations that leads prior up to World War II, I say, are presenting themselves again. So
Right.
a lot of comparisons are being made.
Right. And
And
that's uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, finish, bro. Finish. Excuse me.
No, no, I'm saying a lot of comparisons are being made of the past causes of World War II and the personalities involved. And so I think people are doing a retro look, are taking a retro look at
Right.
Ethiopia
Right.
and its history.
Okay, yeah.
I yield for now. Yes, sir.
No, no, that you're right. Like there's a we're in an information age. A lot of information wasn't privy to the last generation. The Book of Enoch is now so easily accessible. You used to have to go to Ethiopia to get that information. You know what I mean? At one point, imagine a world before the internet. You'd have to go find a book, and of course, in the world, they're not really trying to print a lot of books on Ethiopia because they're not trying to get you to know the Solomonic dynasty, the Ark of the Covenant, the oldest church on earth, the longest reigning monarchy on earth, maintaining their sovereignty. That's not in their product. So imagine now to use Marcus Zach in the way they did, to use, you know, the Brown Bomber to inspire the Tuskegee Airmen, to use His Majesty to inspire the Western Hemisphere to send aid and troops to assist him in this battle in this war. And they didn't just come from the Western Hemisphere; they came from every corner of the planet. People signed up to fight on behalf of His Majesty. This has to be understood. You got people from Germany, people from Spain, people from Italy, people from France, people from Europe, from Britain coming to fight, people from the Americas coming to fight on behalf of His Majesty. And this is where, when it says all the nations will come, you know, all the nations came to his coronation. All the nations came to the League of Nations when he gave his speech. All the nations came to the United Nations when he gave his speech. All the nations were aware and participating in the African Union, the non-alignment movement, the World Evangelical, councils, and other works. There's so many more, but those are just some of the major ones that people are aware of. If I tell you, you're not going to understand the context and the importance. If I tell you about him being a member of the Ninth Order, right? Some people may be privy to that, some are not. So, the amazing history here, that the Black community is consciousness and awareness of Ethiopia's important role. It should be obvious. I know that this thing is rare. Before I'll say Negro pro-Negro on the planet.
Hey, you cutting out better.
Oh, me now? Can y'all hear me?
Okay, I hear you now.
Okay, it's the internet. Okay, cool. I just got off. I don't know why it connects to internet that's not there, but nevertheless, can y'all hear me better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. It's fantastic that people are to the awareness of Ethiopia, but it is a travesty that they would come look His Majesty square in the face after coming to the realization Ethiopia is the promised land and still try to deny him his rightful place. People like Yaju Judah, and I'll continue to say his name, and that's because I feel they're doing His Majesty an injustice. A year, 2, 3 years ago, you were coming in our rooms learning about His Majesty. You didn't know anything about Ethiopia, and now you're using platforms claiming that you're aware that Ethiopia is the promised land, and claiming you're the blood lineage and that you're next on the throne. But yet you have no credentials to back that, nor have you the works to back that, nor do you even know the word well enough so that we know that your word's coming straight from Almighty. So when we hear His Majesty speak, we hear His Majesty speak the words of Almighty, right? We hear Him and reveal things that we did not know according to Scripture. When He said Africa has made it through her Armageddon, He's clearly fulfilling Scriptures. Africa just went through a major war. It's called the Berlin Conference. 150 million plus Africans slaughtered, 11 million in the Congo alone. And yet you're telling me that doesn't fit the prerequisite or narrative of Armageddon? What then are you waiting for? Right? So the war, according to Revelation, is on horseback. I talked to a gentleman in a shop the other day, and he was like, no, Revelations 12 is talking about Jesus. And I'm like, well, didn't Jesus die, resurrect, and ascend to the right hand of the Father? Didn't He ascend the Mount of Olives? Wasn't all power put in His hand? And didn't He send the angel to John to reveal the things to come in the future anyway? So how is it Jesus when He's sending the angel? When He told you, I will send the Comforter. I go to prepare a place for you. And when the Comforter comes, He will not speak of His own. He will speak everything that I tell Him. That's what Christ said. That's the Christ that you base your faith on, that you're telling me that you're calling Christ a liar when you say that He's the child in Revelation 12. Is Christ the spirit in that child? Yes, of course. But is that child the same personage, right? Body? No, there's a different. This is the lineage. He's what we call the root and the offspring of David. But what makes Him the Christ is His divine election. That's why they call Him elect of God. The title, this distinguishes Him as the Christ on earth, or what we know as the Messiah, the way, as the ancients would have called it. So yeah, I think these things are important topics to delve in. I'm hoping that the goal, in my opinion, of the title is that people can see the ignorance of saying they believe the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia, and then in the same mouth and the same heart, they'll turn around and say, oh, but it wasn't the Solomonic dynasty that brought it there. And one end you say, and you say in your prayers, as in heaven, so on earth. On the other end, you turn around and say, only heaven is real, and the earthly realm don't have a throne and a king. It's hypocritical, and it's nonsense. It doesn't make any actual legitimate common sense. It's not quantifiable. Right? In order for us to come to a reason, it has to be quantifiable. Otherwise, it's rhetoric, opinion, right? Lacking evidence. People try to deny the Bible. They say it's fake. There's nothing real in it. And then we sit here and I can break down your whole argument. You say the Bible's 6,000 years only. I'll tell you that average man has only been conscious for the last 6,000 years. So we have to account for civilization, right? The Bible says that Adam named all the animals in the Garden of Eden. That's a lot of animals in the animal kingdom, bro. That ain't no day's work. That ain't even 100 years work. And last time I checked, when Adam was in the Garden of Eden, there was no such thing as time. He didn't come to the concept of time until he had transgressed the law. So what they say, 1,000 years in the Lord's eyes is only a day for 1,000 years for man is a day for Almighty. So it might have felt like a day for Adam. And yet when he transcribed into the new kingdom, it's been millions of years transpired. Seen? The last time I checked, when you ascend into the heavenly realm, you're no longer a physical being. That's why they say God is a spirit, to be worshipped in spirit and truth. In the heavenly realm, you may still be in your physical, but you in your subconscious. You may still have your physical body, but you in your subconscious. Eventually, we will and may have a new body, you get an eternal flesh. But I think that eternal flesh is given to us as we step and transition into heaven. And that's until there is a complete new heaven and new earth after judgment. But we all have our beliefs. I'm just giving you what I found in the Word. So anyway, I'm not trying to go too far length. I just want to touch on some topics that I think are important. I think our community is coming to know Ethiopia. You hear it all the time. Be on the lookout for it. When you see it, send the videos in. Anybody watching this, we'd love to hear your feedback. Leave comments on the live. We'll post it on YouTube and whatnot. But this is what it is. Go and check and tell me I'm lying that Dr. Umar Johnson said that the Zion is in Ethiopia, that Christ was born in a cave in Ethiopia. That's what Brother Umar Johnson said. That's also what the good brother and doctor said. Dr. Ben, I forget, Jacob or something. I forget his name. Right? That's what he said too. And this man has the scholarship and the background, right? Brother Umar Johnson does too. And this is another thing, from what I understand, he has his PhD or doctorate. So now I can't validate that. I don't know. I do know this, whether he has his doctorates or not, that brother is sharp and intelligent. And he has a capacity he has the capacity to charismatically explain things, which sets him apart. But my concern with Dr. Umar Johnson is one. And it's not to judge his faith or beliefs, because we're taught that no man should judge another man's faith, for no man knows the ways of the Lord. But if we left certain tribal practices of worshiping multiple deities, it was the worship of multiple deities, and you can study this closely, and that was a major reason why Africa was separated and split into so many different pieces and easily taken. Because the worship of multiple deities means tribalism, right? I speak this language and I worship this God. I worship the God of the rock. I worship the God of the ocean. I worship the God of the sky. I worship the God of the air. And guess what? My God is better than yours, so let's fight. When really the religious concept is used to take land and do evil, because evil is evil and good is good. But let's ask now, what unifies us? Right now, the black community is finding unification with Ethiopia. Ethiopia is starting to become a rallying point. So we need to ask ourselves, once we rally in Ethiopia, what next? And I think, and I trust, and I pray that in time, when God reveals these divine revelations to our people, they'll realize the entire time that Ethiopia has been a guiding light to the entire world. The Solomonic dynasty has been the wisdom that has kept the world from literally imploding on itself. And I think that will then serve as a rallying point, not only for the black man, not only for the Pan-Africanist, not only for the spiritualist, but for the entire planet. The entire planet comes from the heart of Ethiopia. So what is keeping the planet disconnected and discombobulated and in chaos is that we don't all know that we are one. Once we realize we're one and we come from one origin and we accept that, there's a lot of people that hear that but don't accept that. That's another issue. But once they do, then the Ethiopia will become essentially the central hub for the world. The Bible will, just like His Majesty said, be the rallying point for all mankind, and it will serve as in the Church, the Oriental Orthodox, as well as the ancient mystics and customs of our forefathers, will serve as the infrastructure we'll need to come to the zenith that that our inheritance promises us. So if y'all want to add in, man, I'm gonna fall back, give y'all an opportunity to speak, because we all love y'all feedback, man. Y'all got a lot of good scholarship, So, and then after that, we can wrap it up, because I don't want to take too long. This is our first, StreamYard. We're gonna put this live. If you follow us, make sure you follow our page, Gateway to Zion. We're gonna be putting some really dope interviews up soon, and I'm excited to show you guys what we're working on here and abroad. So give thanks. Yeah, we got about 6-7 more minutes, so love to hear from y'all.
Yeah, no, man, that was, you said that was a lot of wisdom that you just spit. So I'm grateful to be able to, take that in. I'm still doing my own research, um, but I have been paying attention, just in particular, to just different events in general that have been going on around Africa in general. I've been seeing what's been going on in Burkina Faso with the president Ibrahim Traore. I think I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right, but I've been seeing.
Yeah, that's it. You did a good job.
That's right. Okay, but I've been seeing how he's been rallying a lot of with his leadership has been capturing the eye of the world because of his leadership and just the steps that he's taken to to get this movement of like independence going back in the on the continent. I've been seeing, all sorts of different places. What's going on in the Congo, of course, Ethiopia. So I've been paying attention. I've just been trying to pay attention to what's been going on, and I've been seeing a lot of people come to just the awareness of and kind of just seeing this awakening, like we said, that's kind of happening in the diaspora. And
Right.
it's interesting to see, and just I'm glad to see this consciousness.
Yeah, look at like less than 2 years ago, the Hebrews to Negroes movement was the biggest thing happening because Kanye was talking about being a Hebrew Israelite. Kendrick came at Drake about the Hebrew Israelite and how Drake essentially is a white boy, which there's a rift there, and there's much more underlying things going on because of their backgrounds and self-identities. And then you also have Go Black to Africa, who's talking about it. Ron Dalton from Hebrews to Negroes is talking about it. He's come out and told everybody Ethiopia is where, the promised land is too. But one thing I've found is that Ethiopia seems to be uniting us, right? Even the Russian Orthodox churches, they just had a Christmas, they just had a ceremony for Christmas with Putin, I think yesterday, and it was live. And in the background, you could see the Black Madonna and the Black Christ, right? So that's ruffling feathers in the West now. People think he's doing it to vex them, but how you doing something that's been on your walls for hundreds, if not thousands of years? The Orthodox Church, while they're not the first, the Eastern Orthodox is not the first, but it is one of the most ancient churches on earth. So there's something there. They may not. Of course, no church is perfect. That's why God said, "What temple will you build for me, O Israel?" But we know His Majesty is perfect. Why? Because His Majesty's fruit, the fruit from His tree, liveth. His contribution to the United Nations, still there. They'll always be there. His contribution, his destroying the League of Nations, that will always be historic. His Time magazine twice, that'll always be in history. His coronation before the entire world, with emissaries from around the most important countries on planet Earth, that'll always be there, right? His contribution to the African Union, is being a founding father and being named father of Africa. There's never going to be somebody who was the first person to be the head of the African Union and named the father of Africa unanimously by 32 nations. It's never going to happen again, right? You know what I'm saying? Uniting the non-alignment movement and all the other contributions that we can go on continually. Create 2,000 churches for the Oriental Orthodox Church. He's created 3 of their most important churches. He renovated St. George Cathedral. He went and made Holy Trinity Cathedral and Our Lady of Zion Cathedral. Right? These are the most sacred cathedrals in Ethiopia. You feel what I'm saying? All of the Ethiopians today, their forefathers are educated by His Majesty's educational system that he made there. Addis Ababa University may have a different name, but it's the same institution. Right, it's still pumping. It's still a living organization, just like the African Union might have a different name, but we all know the roots of it is the Organization of African Unity. So consider they are now refurbishing all of Addis Ababa. They're adding new layers and beautifying this ancient realm for a reason. This is a clear sign. It was named the new flower for a reason, and now that flower is blossoming. And we're here to bear witness in our time, things that our forefathers would have wished they could see. Our forefathers would have wished they could have seen a headquarters of African unity. Our forefathers would have wished they would have had an African hall to see the majesty and the beauty of, of justice engraved in a somewhat of a shrine, if you will, right? And a testament to His Majesty's contribution. These are things that the people in the past would have wished to see in their time, right? So the Rasta man is justified when John said he saw him coming in the clouds. We saw him coming in the clouds. We saw His Majesty in his airplane coming in the clouds with his ensign on his airplane. We saw that literally. And if John was in vision and he was behind His Majesty in the airplane looking out the window, he would have seen the clouds literally. You see me, I say? And so why does the church claim they believe in Solomon, they believe in Christ, but they don't believe what Christ said? The Queen of the South will rise from the dead and judge this generation. Why? Because she got the wisdom from Solomon, right? That means that's why she has the right to judge, because she has his wisdom. And the wisdom came from Almighty. That means He ordained that wisdom to go to Ethiopia. And we see the continuity with the Ethiopian eunuch who is baptized by Philip, who's told to baptize him by the angel of the Lord. And this is a key sign that Ethiopia is the first Christian, right? Christians on earth to accept this message. And look at how the message flowered and blossomed. Now, like I said, they're beautifying Addis Ababa. All of the heads of states from around Africa have to go to Addis Ababa if they want to do business with the African Union. And the first thing they're going to do is go to Jubilee Palace, because the president of Ethiopia, from what I understand, is setting up his headquarters at Jubilee Palace. And whose palace was that? His Majesty's. Doesn't the Bible say that all the nations will come to His holy mountain? Come on. We're seeing it live. We saw nation after nation come visit His Majesty in the heart of Ethiopia. President of the United States went there. You know what I mean? So there is no other. There's no other that can fulfill that. That His Majesty is the one that was coronated. You show me another man that was coronated to the throne of King David that ruled the most ancient kingdom on earth that never been conquered. Or colonized, excuse me. You name it. So that was another thing y'all Drew said. I want to touch on that before we end this session or whatever. But he came out and said, with his girlfriend, which I don't even know her name, but I like the loyalty. She got loyalty to him. What's sad, unfortunately, is you loyal to lies, because what you spreading is a lie. You saying Ethiopia was colonized. You only colonize a country if you subdue them and you take them and own them. These Ethiopian kings and noblemen and people went to the hills and the mountains for refuge. It's just well documented that they never submitted or surrendered. So you can't sit up here and say they were just taken over and colonized. You want to see colonized? Look at the Americas. That's colonized. You want to see colonized? Look at the rest of Africa. They still trying to get those colonizers off their back to this day. That's colonized, Yaju. Because I know you watch our stuff, so when you see this, I want you to consider what you're doing to our community. Where are you leading us? Since you're the leader, since you're the Messiah, where are you taking us, buddy? What's next? Are you gonna keep giving us mystical answers, or are you gonna give us some legitimate, some real-time plans? See? Because if you're not, bro, you need to have some humility and accept the fact, not the fiction, not the rhetoric, but the fact that His Majesty was appointed to that throne. Because you brought up Lij Yasu, you tried to say that Lij was the rightful heir. You tried to disfranchise His Majesty. You said that it was Princess Zilditu that sent the emissaries to the United States in search of giving us a second shot to return home. No, the Princess Zilditu, this is well documented, was a figurehead. His Majesty was regent and basically running the country. That's why he was the one that left the country on behalf of the country on their business as an ambassador. He's the one that negotiated terms and agreements for contracts and such. right? He was what's called a de facto. This is very well documented ruler. So when you sit up here and say His Majesty just sent his followers, or Zoditu went and saved the day, and then you disenfranchise His Majesty's important role in all of this, then essentially this dismissive nature doesn't change the legacy. See, this dismissive nature doesn't change the legacy. See, I. It doesn't, right? So just go read the intro, right, to His Majesty's My Life and Times book, and he'll tell you the same thing. The winds and the torrents and the rains can't change the legacy. The foundation's there. Nothing you can do about it. You can try to disenfranchise him all you want. You ain't sitting on David Stone. You ain't got a coronation, and you ain't gonna be coronated. And if you do it, it'll be a few of your buddies and friends. You ain't gonna be ruling the nation. You ain't gonna be ruling the Solomonic dynasty. You ain't gonna. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you had the spirit of the Lord in you, then I would be with you. But unfortunately, I've already tested your spirit, and I can already see that you're about you. You ain't about nobody in our community. So I'm addressing you personally for a reason, because the Rasta man tired of sitting here watching you completely do your best to try to destroy His Majesty's legacy. It's not going to happen, and we ain't going to stand idly and allow you to talk about His Majesty or Jah like that. See, and I say that in love too, because I'm glad that we have so many different scholars out here. But if we're going to be scholars, we got to come correct. That's it. But yeah, man. Y'all want to have anything else you want to say, Brother Lyrical, by all means, before we,
Yeah, yeah,
cut it off.
just to back up what you say. We already know Majesty wrote his book, My Life and Ethiopia's Progress, and
Right.
even within the preface of the book, he tells us that people like these were coming, and that people would try to mess with his legacy, try to mess with his name and his image.
Uh,
We have already been shown that, yeah, these days would come. So the Rastaman, are not as ignorant, and we definitely see the shades within the videos and hear the shade words behind the so-called explanations.
right. Great point.
So, yeah,
Great point.
we're not as easily deceived as the general public, because we have been aware of the most effective use of propaganda that this
Right.
world has ever seen. We are very aware of the
Now you
wise
know
man.
there's no truth in you because you wouldn't deny His Majesty. There's no way you can't deny history.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And by your fruits you shall know them. We know everybody who comes up against His Majesty never lasts. We already know that. So
Nope.
that's why we the Rastaman says, hate him and live. I mean, love Selassie and live, hate him and die. That's all you're gonna do when you hate him.
Yeah, because
And look at all of his enemies. All of his enemies have already folded.
right,
So anybody who hates His Majesty is just gonna end up the same really bad way. We see it for
right,
ourselves constantly,
right,
all
right,
throughout
right.
history. We've seen it. So
Now
it's up to you to make that choice.
yeah, you can't say the ark is there and then not say His Majesty that Menelik and their families took it there. You can't say as in heaven, so on earth, and then totally disregard the fact that Almighty said He'll never lack a man to sit on David's throne on earth. Right? You can't say that you believe in Jesus Christ or Jesus Christos, but not in Haile Selassie the First, because we're called to look for Him. Right? So we have the works, we have the divine history, we have the steles, we have the obelisks, we have the temples, we have the language system, the Afro-Asiatic language systems. We have Egypt, which is all throughout the Bible. We have the Book of Jasher, which proves that Beta Israel lived in the heart of the Simeon Mountains during those times. Um, we have Beta Israel who's certified from around the world. There's nobody denying Beta Israel on planet Earth. Nobody that can deny their divine inheritance and right. And so, if we know we all, at the end of the day, we all come from Ethiopia, then we all have an inheritance in Israel. If we decide to change our ways, if we decide to follow the King of Kings, as simple as that. And the King of Kings has told us, "I'll be replaced by the oncoming generation." See, this ain't no magic fairy tale Disneyland movie. This is real deal life. God ordained laws and physics here on this planet that have to be adhered to. Why would you build a realm and not follow the rules in the realm that you made? It makes no sense. So when God incarnate, of course he's going to follow the rules in his realm. The same way if you pick up the Nintendo sticks and play with Mario, Mario has to deal with the limitations of the game. If he jumps here, he dies. If he gets hit by a turtle, he dies. If he runs too fast, you know what I'm saying? But if he follows the rules of that realm, he's successful. The same thing goes here on earth. Why would God incarnate and then break the rules? No, he's showing us how to play the game. He's showing us miracles do happen. It's science, placebo effect. If I touch somebody and pray on them and they believe in their heart that they're healed, they may be healed. Happens every day. Happens every day, from a headache to a migraine to a relationship issue to a job that they may lose or may keep to a house they're trying to get to a car that they just got into an accident in. It happens every day. Miracles happen every day. And people go and thank God Almighty for small things and never think that they're worthy of big things. But I believe in those miracles that the Word of God speaks of, because there are people that are resurrected from death, literally. There are people that walk on. There's dogs I've seen walk on water. Go type the videos in. There's videos of angelic beings. You have the right to believe them or not to believe them. But I'd say right now we're living in the age of deep fake more than anything ever before. So why was these videos online 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, right? If you believe in that word of God that you claim you believe in, then you believe in the book of Enoch. If you don't believe in the book of Enoch, then you don't believe in truth. Right? There's too many books out there that are confirmed as legitimate. Go and study the Nicene Creed before you jump to a conclusion. Go study the Nicene Council and the Nicene Creed, because they're two separate things, but two incidents that happen at the same, right, at the same place. Go study the early church fathers and their schools of thought from Theosis or Dioses, the dual nature of Christ, to monotheism, the one nature of Christ. Go and study their conflicts of interest about Nestorianism and the different church fathers who came and kind of battled it out like we do now. They had a whole reasoning session at the Nicene Council, and the reasoning led Constantine's assistant to draw up a creed that they could all agree on, so they could leave on one accord. That's what the foundation of the faith is Tewahedo, oneness, I and I. You know what I mean? And now we have oneness in Ethiopia. Can we finally have oneness and one king, black people? Or are you afraid to come into the hands of the king that laid and put everything down on the line for you? The king that they've hidden from you for years. Why in history class in the United States, y'all say y'all hate Adolf Hitler, but that's all we learn about? Why? They say they hate Adolf Hitler's guts during the war, but y'all set up Operation Paperclip. Right? It's just too many things. Y'all learning Adolf Hitler, but y'all ain't learned a lick about His Majesty. 90% of people I talk to about Haile Selassie never heard his name ever. Why Netflix got documentaries on the Vikings, the North, the Norse, the Norwegians. Y'all got the Age of Enlightenment. Y'all got the Dark Ages. Y'all got the Roman Empire, the Grecian Empire. Y'all got the Medo-Persian Empire. Y'all got the Ottoman Empire. Y'all got every empire but Ethiopia. Huh? What'd you say, bro?
Your screen is frozen.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
And the audio.
Can you hear me now? Here to be now for your free reading. Well, that's a sign we should probably go if it ain't, if it ain't coming through and we heard. Can you hear me now?
Well, the message has been clear, Ross Royal.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely he made his point. Like you said, the message is clear.
Yeah.
see him trying to mute and unmute.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I think the message got out. Yeah.
Okay. You can hear me, brother
Yes,
Joshua? You can hear me, bro?
Yeah. Well, I guess on that note, then, I guess we can go ahead and end it off. I mean, unless he unfreezes or whatever, I guess we can go ahead and call it here.
Can y'all hear me now?
So thank y'all for
Yeah,
tuning
yes,
in.
we can hear you now. I
I think
like that
Livical can hear me,
commentary.
but
I like
yeah.
that commentary, brother. I like that
Thank you.
commentary you just said. So yeah, it's heard.
No doubt, brother.
Oh
Brother
wait, you can
Joshua,
hear
can you
him?
hear me now? Brother Livical can hear me, but brother
Yeah,
Josh can't. So I don't know if
I think
something's in.
he hears you.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can't hear him.
Okay,
You
okay.
can't hear him.
No.
Okay. All good. All good. Something between our connection, Josh. Don't worry, the audience can hear me.
I can't hear him, and his screen is frozen to me.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's
Uh,
probably
no,
your it's probably on
it
your side because
unfroze.
brother Livical don't have a picture or
No,
visual.
it unfroze for me. It unfroze.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Let's go ahead and
It
let's
might
go
just be
ahead
me.
and let's go ahead and jump off. It's all good. I appreciate you guys coming. Brother Joshua, thank you for opening the room. We're definitely looking forward to doing more of these videos. We'll post this up soon. Thank you for everybody that came and watched and bore witness. Once again, the last message I think we have to the Black community is simple. If you're starting to come to the awareness of Ethiopia, then you need to look a little bit closer to the Solomonic dynasty because they're the ones that have been leading Ethiopia. They're the divine inheritance. So we hope to hear back from y'all. Much love, God bless, and protect. Brother Livical, can you tell Brother
Yeah,
Joshua go ahead and
yeah.
close
I
us
think
out?
he's trying to work his magic in the background. But
Can you tell?
yeah,
I think he can hear you. So if you can tell him
yeah,
like close up after you speak.
yeah. Of course.
All right.
Yeah. So also, if you're trying to learn of Ethiopia, just be careful of the people who you're learning from, also, because
Right.
not everyone is fully vested in the truth. There's a lot of half truth, and there's a lot of shade being thrown in the middle of the half truth. So be
Exactly.
careful who you're learning from. I would definitely encourage self education. I would definitely encourage the proper books because there's a lot of
Right.
books and websites that also is against his majesty and his work. So be careful of
Exactly.
what you learn. And if we do hear the fraud, we will try to correct it as soon as we hear it.
Yep.
But I want to say
Bro.
I
I
Joshua, if you
yeah.
can hear me, you can go ahead and start locking up if you can. Joshua.
I think his I don't know if he's still there. You still there, brother Josh?
His video is paused and his mic I think is paused.
Okay. Let me see if I can invite him to the stage. Chat, Josh. Oh, it's all good. You know what? Let us just get off because it's been a while. Brother Joshua, thank you. It's all good, bro. Don't sweat it. We'll get up on another one. If you can upload this though, as soon as possible, we appreciate it. If you can hear me, just confirm. Okay, bet. God
What's up?
bless.
I'm out. We'll talk here.
I might open
Yeah.
a clubhouse later, so if y'all available, jump in. If y'all tired, it's all good. We'll get up next time. God bless. Ja Rastafari.